Hey, Justin, can you see, is Blue Sky Timer actually listed?
Yeah, they're in there twice.
They keep,
Okay, can we not promote them?
I promoted them and then they declined it.
either they're not picking it
Try
up.
it again.
We may not need to. We may not need to do that. I don't know. First time I'm trying this. Let me see if you can actually hear this go off.
My suggestion would be at this point on your work phone.
Well, I was gonna do it on this phone so that I could put it in my
Okay.
ears.
Listen to the commission meeting on personal phone or work phone. I'm using personal devices on work time. At night. These things too. Maybe I'd rather have it on audio on both of them.
Oh, I normally do.
Okay, I'm out of time, so I'm going back to the original method. This isn't working. Can you knock Blue Sky off?
Yep. You want me to remove them completely?
Yeah, at this point, it's just taking up space.
That's,
Hey, this is Region 1 doing a sound check. Can you hear us?
Yep, we can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep, thanks for getting it set up.
Absolutely.
There, Justin.
Yeah.
Think we're ready. This will be, we'll go back to this.
Okay,
It's just, there's no audible, so I'll let the chair know that we won't have an audible, so. Thanks for indulging me though.
sounds good. We can work on that separately. I made you the host again, so you can start the recording when you're ready.
Okay. Yes, sir. I think we'll wait until about 8:15 before we start.
Now we're getting transcribed. Yeah.
Hey, Justin, I'm gonna start the recording here.
Sounds good.
Just so everyone knows, we are online and we are recording at this time.
Hey Bill, how you doing?
Good morning. How are you, Brian?
Good. I had Leslie forward me the invite, and apparently that was tied to her name. So I hope we have some IT that can change that. I'll just give.
Yeah, you really
You might not
changed.
be able to log in.
Either that or she's trying to give you a subliminal message that, you know what,
Right.
you can only meet today.
Hopefully she can get in.
Yeah.
There we go.
Good morning, gentlemen. I see that Mr. Siebel has been promoted.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had to switch computers. I had Leslie resend me the invite, and yeah, and then apparently I logged in as her. So hopefully she's able to log in.
Yeah, it's all sure. We got your name changed, so it should show properly now.
Yeah, I just did the rename there. If
She
you get a call from if you get a call from Leslie, you'll know why.
yeah, not yesterday. She was a little bit unsure about connectivity. Oh, there she is. Welcome, Madam Chair.
How you been wintering, Brian?
Better earlier. I mean, I'm glad we got the snow finally, but what a change a month makes.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We had 40 below zero the other day without wind chill.
We only hit 27 below, so
Yeah, no, I'm already over it, but it looks like end of next week we might start getting a little bit of a reprieve.
spring is coming.
Inevitable, I hope.
So it said we're recording, but I don't know if we're like live yet, but
Good morning, Leslie.
We are recording,
good
Madam Chair.
morning.
I don't think
Okay.
we're live yet.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna go grab a coffee and I'll be right back.
Eric, do we have a flag ready?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Always good when you click in and it works.
Mhm. And we have a flag.
Yes.
Alert. This should not take very long. We have very few items on the agenda.
How cold is it up there today, Leslie?
I am actually in Arizona right now, so
Oh, I just came from Arizona, came home from Arizona to 24 below this morning.
yeah, it's supposed to actually get 20 above at home today, but it was 25 below the other morning. Yeah.
Where in
Without,
Arizona?
what was that?
Where in Arizona are you?
By Wickenburg.
Oh, just came through there.
Oh,
I just got a call from Commissioner Walsh. He's having some connectivity issues, but expects to be on momentarily.
okay, sounds good. We have time.
Morning, Leslie.
Good morning. I think we're getting Casey lined up here. Can anybody tell me, are we live yet?
Yes, we're live.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, I can hear you.
Good morning, everyone. Just wanted to do a mic check.
Yes, can hear you perfectly fine, thank you.
Thank you.
I think we're just trying to get Casey moved over to a panelist. All right, we're about 2 minutes till start, but I'm still waiting for Casey to get moved over.
Morning, Susan. Morning, Jeff.
Morning. Sorry, wrong Susan.
No, no problem at all. I wasn't specific.
Okay, I gotta check on one more thing and then we're gonna get going.
Morning, Casey.
Morning, Casey. Commissioner Walsh, can you hear us?
Okay, go ahead and say something, Casey, so we can make sure we can hear you.
I'll call him, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. I think we're gonna go ahead and get started and hopefully we can get things figured out with Casey. All right, so I'm gonna call the meeting to order. If everyone could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everyone. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the December 19th meeting. Would someone like to make a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Brooke?
Hello,
I
sir.
move
Is your
that we-
sound on? Are you able?
It's on, but I'm hearing nothing.
You're good now, Casey. Oh,
We can hear you.
What I'm gonna do, I think, is just dial in on this phone and listen to it that way.
Okay,
Eric?
better mute him.
yes.
Madam Chair, I'll go ahead with the motion to approve the minutes.
Okay,
Second.
is there, okay, Commissioner Siebel. Okay, is there any corrections or additions to the minutes? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nice.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So I just want to remind everybody via Zoom, if there is an opposition to a motion, if you could make sure and speak up so that I have that, so we have a record of it. Okay, so the next thing is the approval of commission expenses.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
Madam
So,
Chair?
There we
Can
go.
you-
He's muted now.
okay,
Madam Chair, I move to approve the expenses.
okay.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Lane, I have you as the second. Are there any
Press
questions?
pound to continue.
Eric, is there
Please
any way
enter the-
for you to mute Commissioner Walsh?
I do too, and I continue to, yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, any questions or additions to the expenses? All right, all those in favor of the motion to approve the expenses signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, we will start with the commissioner reports. I'm going to start from the back this time. Well, not that you're the back, but Commissioner Lane, you want to start? Would you please start?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The Region 7 office is currently busy prepping for March Madness in the front office. They met with licensing a couple of weeks ago, helped to help to test the online licensing system and ALX system, and are currently helping with reviewing the additional information worksheets associated with different applications. And they're also starting to see an increase in interest and calls about the application process and licenses for the 2025 year, as well as for Hunter Ed classes. In enforcement, Mackenzie Clark was recently sworn in as the new Sydney warden. She'll be attending the Law Enforcement Academy through the beginning of May and field training through the summer. And wardens have had to increase their presence at local coyote derbies due to an incident where participants shot at least 7 mule deer near Bloomfield. The suspects confessed and are being charged to the Dawson County Attorney's Office. Going into the Region 7 access programs, with the end of upland bird and waterfowl seasons, access staff have been busy closing up sign-in boxes on block management properties, counting and entering hunter day data, and are preparing for the upcoming landowner appreciation dinners, which are going to be held in Miles City and Glendive. Access staff are also currently contacting hunters that participated in the EHA Hunter program and are completing follow-up surveys as per the EHA agreement. In parks and outdoor recreation, they've compiled some statistics from Makoshika from 2024 indicating the high interest and the use of this unique and special park. With 7 different themed hikes, 180 people attended that. They had over 1,350 people attend various special events held at the park. The night sky viewing events with Park Foundation donated telescopes, 66 people participated in that. There was a film crew. I actually watched that one on TV. 350 students attended 3 different kids archery events. There are over 761 students attended field trips. And there were 15 special use permits issued for the amphitheater and loader group use sites of where 983 people participated. So it's just neat to see that type of participation in that state park. And for those of you that haven't been there, I highly recommend you visit it. Going into wildlife, they completed their most recent habitat conservation lease application period. And during this round, they received 14 applications across the region, totaling up to 60,000 acres. Wildlife staff are busy working with the interested landowners on their applications so that all the information can be sent to the Lands and Water Unit for the start of title and access work as they continue through the process. Non-game staff have been working hard on the State Wildlife Action Plan, or SWAP, revisions, with a goal to complete the draft of their threats and action work by the end of February. A lot goes into this plan, and states are required to have and update their respective SWAPs in order to receive federal funding. And wildlife biologists recently completed their postseason deer surveys. There was some variation in total counts across the region, with some surveys seeing increases in total counts, while others observed decreases. Our buck to doe ratio remains slightly above 30 bucks per 100 does. The winter conditions throughout all of December and most of January were mild, but as you all know, frigid temperatures have shown up in February. The mild start to winter certainly was beneficial to the wildlife, and we will just have to see how the winter survival looks when they conduct their spring green-up surveys. And last but not least, fisheries. The contractors are continuing to work on repairing hydraulic erosion in 2 areas of the intake bypass channel. And regarding paddlefish, the significant changes to the paddlefish fishing regulations for 2025, the staff are updating the 2025 versions of the paddlefish harvest postcard, the 1-page regulation change summary, the paddlefish page on the FWP website, paddlefish regulation brochure, and the new paddlefish harvest dashboard. And just as a note, I did not meet with any outside groups during this time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Siebel, do you want to go ahead, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning from frigid Region 5. Well, what a difference a couple of months makes for all of us, I think, here in Montana. But A lot of things happening in Region 5, even with the colds. On the enforcement side, we're really fortunate that we have two wardens, Cameron Rouser and Diego O'Brien. Cameron's in Gardner, Diego's in Roundup. They actually finished their first 5 steps field training and are now officially working in their assigned district. So that's great news for all of us, for both Region 5 and Region 3 with Cameron. Still have a lot of wardens busy out with shoulder season for Cal-Elk. We still have those open and for the next 2 days, closing on February 15th. And hopefully some of this winter weather and this heavy snow has moved some of the elk around and gotten where the public can access them. On the enforcement side as well, we had a Warren Barson finish a license fraud case. We had a non-resident was purchasing resident licenses. They recovered several illegal animals. And the suspect ended up with a fine of $10,000 and a 1 year of lost privileges, which personally I think is a little short, but we are cracking down, and I'm glad to see that type of activity here in Region 5. With regards to wildlife, I mentioned the shoulder season already. It does end this Saturday, the 15th. We've got biologists currently flying winter elk surveys and also conducting ground surveys for bighorn sheep in the region. Our Region 5 Bobcat quota filled early in January, so the staff's been busy checking Bobcats, but that did close fairly quickly this year. All 5 of our lion management units in Region 5 are still open. We've had 31 lions harvested so far, and Wolf Region as well is also open and only had 2 wolves harvested so far and checked in. Commissioner Lane mentioned licenses. Everyone's prepared for, as we call it, March Madness. We also are prepared for that in Region 5, and it was noted that the purchase same as last year button, which is an option I think came out last year, but it's been improved this year, is going to be really, really helpful for everyone online, just to be able to buy what they have in the past and add to it. On the side of kids in Region 5, we have a lot of great things going on, and first and foremost, we have a number of hunter safety classes scheduled in March throughout the region. So I encourage everyone to get online and or call the Region 5 headquarters, find out where and when those classes are being scheduled. And also on the topic of kids, there was 1,000 fishing rods and reels have been purchased as part of the Aquatic Education Hooked on Fishing program in our region. And these rods are going to go and reels are going to go to 4th and 5th graders who've been participating in the program, and they'll receive those rods and reels at Lake Elmo this May on Hooked on Fishing Days at Lake Elmo in May. So really exciting stuff, and glad to see the youth, and glad to see us encouraging the youth to come out and enjoy the outdoors with us. And also in Region 5, we have several job opportunities that are open right now. Some of them are full-time and some are part-time, but everything from interns for mountain lake surveys this summer, also starting to look for 2 full-time fishery technicians and then Parks and Outdoor Rec is looking for rangers and recreation technicians for the upcoming season, also looking for campground hosts and volunteers, and maintenance is recruiting groundskeepers. So lots of opportunities if anyone's looking for something fun to do outdoors this summer and potentially get paid. So thank you, Madam Chair. And I did not meet with any outside organizations since the last meeting.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Walsh, are you up and running? Okay.
Yeah, he's having issues with he can hear, but he can't speak right now. So we're working on that.
Okay, sounds good. Commissioner Brooke, you want to go ahead, please?
Sure, thank you. In Region 3, the staff are busy right now with wildlife survey flights and also multiple sheep and goat research captures are ongoing right now. There's multiple game damage hunts that are underway. It's been a really busy year for game damage hunts. They've received 49 post-hunting season game damage complaints. Of these, 10 have resulted in some new stack yards or associated materials for landowners, and approximately 312 elk have been removed by public hunters and kill permits. There are still many active game damage hunts ongoing, and the number of elk removed will continue to increase until the season closes on February 15th. If you know of any hunters that would like to participate in next year's game damage hunts, please have them reach out to the local Fish, Wildlife, and Park offices for more information on how to be involved in that. Block management and access coordinated a post-season review with wildlife and enforcement to discuss what worked in 2024 and what can be improved this year. And there's 3 landowner dinners that are planned for Region 3 that will happen in April. Fisheries starting get ready to do the annual sampling efforts in Lower Madison in early March. The wild trout research that's been ongoing with MSU will continue to include tagging fish in the Big Hole, Beaverhead, Ruby, and Madison rivers, which we're hoping anglers will report to MSU on their tagging website. There was a press release that went out yesterday, I think it was, about the ongoing fish research. And in that it said that they had captured and sampled 8,000 trout, and only 3 of them exhibited any signs of infection. So that was really positive. There's more information on the website about that. The press release was great. Just a quick shout out to Fish, Wildlife, and Parks media. Their press releases are so great, and their social media also keeps all the anglers and hunters updated on what's going on in each region. Parks and maintenance is busy with seasonal staff hiring and planning for upcoming spring and summer season. For staff, the access technician for Region 3 is resigned, and they're interviewing to refill that position on the 14th. The carnivore specialist position is now advertised and should be filled soon. Seasonal staff in recreation and maintenance are also being hired now. We have a new Region 3 supervisor. I think I mentioned this at the last meeting. Kelly Prophet is our new Region 3 supervisor. She's worked for the department as a wildlife research biologist since 2009. She has been based in Bozeman and conducted several research studies on elk, bighorn sheep, and pronghorn. She's got lots of great experience. I have met or talked to Yellowstone National Park officials, legislators, Wolves of the Rockies, various members of the houndsmen and hunters that didn't identify they were with a group, but they've commented before as a group. So that's my report.
Thank you. Commissioner Burrows, please.
Good morning. I'll start with the groups. I met with Ravalli County Fish Wildlife Association and Sportsmen for Fish Wildlife. We've also got a group in Bitterroot here forming with our biologists and some other groups that are going to look at the 250 and 270 hunting districts. Those are mostly draw for deer and elk, all draw for deer and elk. So we're looking at some different options in those 2 hunting districts. For wildlife staff are over half finished with winter elk aerial surveys in the Upper Clark Fork and Blackfoot. And 2 mountain goats were captured and collared in the Flint Mountains near Deer Lodge on January 28th as part of statewide research efforts. For access, the 2024 access season wrapped up in mid-January, and we're compiling hunter day use for the region. Preparing and planning for the 2025 season with contract management, landowner meetings, etc. And we began the biennial rule process for the Nature Conservancy land that are enrolled in recreation management areas. Communication education. The region's preparing to communicate the antler opener plans for the Blackfoot Clearwater Wildlife Management Area. The system will be similar to 2024. In general, vehicle access will again only be through the east entrance at noon, and vehicles must register ahead of time for an entry number. Numbers are not limited, and those that do not register will enter behind those that did. These changes were made in 2024 to address safety concerns with vehicles lining up on the shoulder of Highway 83 up to several weeks before the opener. The news and updated webpage will be released later this month. Hunter and bow ed classes and field days for online students are picking up again this year. Many classes are advertised around the region with more to be scheduled over the coming months. And we always need more volunteer instructors to help out. Parks and outdoor rec. Ponds and lakes are finally frozen and ice fishing season has begun. Parks and rec staff are seeing more ice anglers out when they're on patrol. Recent snow has improved snowmobile trails and riders are out. And the Travelers Rest State Park AmeriCorps started in January and is getting onboarded. On fisheries, we're working on bull trout and West Slope cutthroat trout conservation strategies and developing a research project with MSU and other agencies to study the decline of brown trout in the Upper Clark Fork and plan to start sampling this spring. End of report.
All right, thank you. Casey, how you doing now?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead with your report, please.
Okay. Turn this down. The Region 4 fisheries staff has been busy processing samples, doing data entry, QC, analysis, and report writing, and meeting with various sporting groups as they prepare for the upcoming spring season. Fisheries staff also met with the R3 staff to discuss developing one Upper Missouri West Slope cutthroat trout conservation strategy. And they're in the process of doing that plan. Staff will work on updating the existing Region 3 Missouri River Headwaters Plan to encompass the larger Upper Missouri River drainage. The Giant Springs Fish Hatchery poaching case, I'm pleased to say, has finally been resolved. The two suspects paid a total of $24,000 in fines and restitution. Both lost all their hunting and fishing and trapping privileges for the next 20 years. Department is also drafting several environmental assessments for tiger trout stocking, Smith River habitat projects, West Slope cutthroat trout recovery efforts, and a few other things. A reminder to the public that the Smith River permit application period closes on February 15th. The department did have host a meeting in White Sulphur Springs on January 16th in a town hall type format with DEQ to discuss the new Smith River basin-wide assessment. On the wildlife side, lion winter hunting season is still in full swing, and with good snow in recent weeks throughout Region 4, a more effective hunt is occurring. As of Monday, only 2 lion management unit quotas for both male and female quotas have been filled. That's LMU 411 and 413. All other LMUs in Region 4 remain open, and the season closes on April 14th. The wolf harvest as of Monday was 19 in Region 4 out of a quota of 20, 11 males and 8 females. Region 4 staff finished up postseason aerial and ground surveys for mule deer and bighorn sheep in the past week or so, and staff are currently conducting winter aerial elk surveys. The team's prepping for the bighorn sheep capture on the northern Rocky Mountain front in mid to end of February as part of the statewide bighorn sheep research project. To date, the weather's been challenging in terms of getting that underway. And on the staffing front, Laura Hayjack was selected to be the new Region 4 office manager, and my congratulations to Laura. Wardens Ronenberg and Dylan Kraft are currently attending the Montana Law Enforcement Academy in Helena, and Warden Brock Thielen is completing his orientation and field training and has already moved to the White Sulphur area. I had no meetings with outside groups during the period since our last commission meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will start with Region 6. The biologists completed a postseason mule deer survey in the region. There were some improvements from last year with the mule deers, and it looked like the most improvement was in the populations and ratios in the eastern half of Region 6. The region is currently working on 13 habitat conservation lease applications, which would cover approximately 35,000 acres. Under fisheries, Tyler Haddix was hired as the new Region 6 fisheries manager. Welcome aboard, Tyler. He officially began his new role on February 8th. A fisheries update meeting will be held in Plentywood the evening of February 18th in the County Library Jubilee Room from 6 to 8. So if anybody's listening and is interested in attending that, February 18th. Communication and education, the instructor workshop for Region 6 was held on February 8th in Glasgow, along with a field day for online students. It was a really good turnout despite the frigid temperatures. Hunter education classes are starting in Havre in February. Oh, I'm starting to, do I still have feedback? Okay.
No.
Okay. Under maintenance, staff attended the Montana Weed Control Association meeting in Glasgow this week, and credits earned to retain their applicator's license. Maintenance is working on contracts for weed spraying, latrine pumping, and garbage collection. Block management techs are done with all the boxes, and all the boxes are closed other than those associated with the elk shoulder season and 690. They're working on compiling the hunter data right now. The landowner appreciation dinner dates are set. There's several of them in Region 6, and the letters have been sent out. The Thank a Landowner portal is open on the FWP webpage, and there's been a lot of great participation with this, and there's still time to get your thank yous in. As a landowner in block management, those are very nice. When the hunters do take the time to go to the portal and enter their comments. That's all I have for Region 6, and I do have a Region 1 update, and I'll go ahead and read that. Under enforcement, the wardens have been busy with checking furs, trapper patrols, and ice angler checks this winter. Region 1 is following up on several promising cases from the 2024 hunting season. They have several large, complex wildlife investigations and anticipate filing charges soon. Some of those cases involve illegally killed bighorn sheep, moose, elk, and a trophy white-tailed buck. Region 1 wardens made it a priority to investigate license fraud cases in 2024. There are cases where people unlawfully purchase Montana resident hunting, fishing licenses where they're actually residents of another state. Some of these cases have carried over into 2025. Almost every warden in the region currently has an active license fraud investigation. The Eureka warden, Zach Turner, is attending Montana Law Enforcement Academy in Helena until April. There's bid opening for major reconstruction of the Yellow Bay SP in this week. The project will improve roads, boating facilities, and camping opportunities in this popular recreation site on Flathead Lake. A contract has been awarded for construction of a trail system at the Summers Beach. Construction will begin in this spring. Staff are working with 7 snowmobile clubs throughout the region to implement the trail grooming grant program. Good snow lately, and all trail systems are in use. The annual visitation report for the Montana State Parks will be out next month. Data shows a slight overall increase in visitation and estimate that the system provided 3.3 million visits in 2024. Under maintenance, snow removal efforts continue, servicing of equipment's underway, and working on this season's maintenance management plan. Under wildlife, the Montana Great Outdoors Phase 1 conservation easement has been finalized. Thanks to a patient and willing landowner and great partnerships working towards a common goal, the conservation easement will protect nearly 33,000 acres of timbered land in perpetuity as a working forest and wildlife habitat, and is available for public recreation. It has taken over 4 years for this project to reach the finish line. This has been a busy year for game damage issues in Northwest Montana, particularly in the Eureka area and more recently in the Flathead Valley. Snow and cold weather is resulting in elk and deer seeking out local haystacks. Staff is working diligently with landowners to address the complaints. Hunter education classes are being organized across the region. We anticipate classes in 14 communities across Northwest Montana this spring, and approximately 400 students served throughout. The annual regional instructor workshop is March 8th in Kalispell, and we will celebrate instructors who have reached service milestones, including 6 people with 30+ years of service. So thank you to all those instructors. Very important to have you on board. Hooked on fishing, ice fishing field trips have been going on Despite cold weather, we had 31 classes out on the ice so far this winter. The Code Girls United organization is a local nonprofit that works with local 4th through 8th grade girls to expand their computer science skills. Girls across the state participate in this program, and 2 local girls named Emma and Michaela approached FWP about a year ago, asking for any ideas that the Region 1 might have. Long story short, they came up with the idea to create a mobile phone app that encourages kids to spend more time outdoors and learn outdoor education. Through lots of fun discussions, they came up with an idea and the girls coded it into reality. They submitted the app to the National Congressional App Challenge and won for the districts. Here's a news story from yesterday's highlighting their great work. And NBC Montana actually carried that that news story if you want to look up the app that won in DC. That's a great program, and that's awesome that they did that. I haven't had a chance to look that up. Under fisheries, staff met with CAC members and local outfitters and guides throughout the recent regulation changes on the South Fork, Flathead River, and Hungry Horse Reservoir, responding to declines in bull trout in abundance and increasing angling pressure on this unique and world-class native trout fishery. FWP shortened the length of the opening fishing season to protect the threatened bull trout. Several Region 1 fish staff members are in Bozeman this week presenting their work at the annual meeting of the Montana chapter of the American Fisheries Society. So that wraps up Region 1 report. Director Clark, would you like to give us a report, please? I think you're on mute still.
Okay, am I unmuted now?
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
All right, great, we're live. That was pretty easy. Good morning, everybody. Just starting my 3rd month here, so definitely busy time, not an ideal time to begin as director. The legislature's taking up a tremendous amount of my time as well as staff time. But we do have 2 new staff members. We hired Renee Lemon as our parks administrator. We're really excited. She started this week. And then Cody Pierce, we hired for operations and financial services. Renee Lemon comes to us from Department of Revenue. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because she's married to Greg Lemon. So we're excited to have Renee on staff, and she's hit the ground running this week. Cody Pierce comes to us from the Department of Agriculture. Cody was the chief financial officer at Department of Agriculture when I was director there, and she will be filling the role of operations and financial services. So excited to have those guys on board. I've met with a great deal of many groups. I attended the Big Hearts Under the Big Sky banquet, and I spoke to stock growers and Farm Bureau, met with Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, Pinwar, and then we continue to have constituent meetings every Tuesday. We host them here at the department. And so it's an opportunity for any organizations or lobbyists that want to come over and visit with us about legislation and maybe our positions. We've had many one-on-one meetings with legislators, too numerous to mention a lot, and the staff has taken a lot of these. We've met on everything from a statewide shooting complex to mandatory reporting of hunting activity. We're kind of snagged up on a wolf bill that is making its way. There were several wolf bills. All but one of them died, including ours. Ours didn't make it out of committee to list the wolf as fur bearer. The one that we're struggling with a little bit changes the statewide quota. Changes it to a statewide quota until we hit 550 wolves, but we're still working through that process. It did pass through the House and it has been transmitted to the Senate, but it hasn't been scheduled for a hearing in the Senate. And I just can't say enough good things about the staff through this legislative session. It's been heavy with hearings, committee hearings, and every day we meet at 9 o'clock and go through our bills and our commitments and our positions. And then at 1 o'clock, we go across the street, Jeff Hindoin and I do, and meet with the governor's office and their policy team and formulate what is the best approach for positions on bills. So that's taken up a tremendous amount of our time. February 20th is the last day to introduce new bills. So we will be having a party that day, just saying. But we are expecting one more wave probably as we come up to that deadline. But the workload has been fairly heavy. Again, staff has been phenomenal. In the director's office, we've been stepping up our communications. We try to do one radio show per week, and we started doing podcasts to the staff, mostly just for their information. We've done 2 of them. We're going to do them either weekly or every other week, just depending on our schedule and what's happening. We will be holding a licensing event in the Rotunda on March 17th. And I will be able to get out of the office next Tuesday and go ice fishing with one of the hooked on fishing groups in Lake Helena.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so next on the agenda, we have selection of the vice chair. The chair is appointed by the governor, but the vice chair is voted on by the commission itself. And so I will ask for nominations from the floor, please.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Brooke.
First, I'd like to thank Commissioner Tabor for his years of service on the commission and take this opportunity to nominate Commissioner Walsh from Region 4 for vice chair.
Okay, thank you. Is there a sec? Okay, Commissioner Siebel seconded. Okay. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Any other nominations? One more time, any other nominations? Okay, seeing no other nominations, I think we can just vote by acclamation. Is there anyone opposed to Commissioner Walsh as our new vice chair? All right, okay. Commissioner Walsh, you are in place as our vice chair. Thank you for taking on the position. And I also would like to thank Commissioner Tabor for all the work that he has put in the last 4 years as vice chair. And I look forward to working with you, Casey.
Yeah, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Siebel.
For the record, I'd also like to thank Vice Chair Tabor for his 4 years of service. It was a pleasure serving on the commission with him, and I wish him well.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay. All right. We will move into our next action item under fisheries. If Mr. Schreiner, if you would go ahead and present that, please.
Madam Chair, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Awesome. Well, Madam Chair, members of the commission, again, Adam Strainer, Fisheries Division Administrator, and I'm here today to present the Future Fisheries Improvement Program's Winter 2025 funding cycle. For over 2 decades, the Future Fisheries Improvement Program, or FFIP, has been funding projects that restore stream, river, and lake habitats for wild fisheries in Montana. The governor appointed 14-member citizens review panel reviews applications twice yearly and sends recommendations to the Fish and Wildlife Commission for approval. For the winter 2025 cycle, the panel recommends funding 10 proposals totaling $483,705 in FWP or FFIP funds. This investment leverages $2.45 million in matching funds and nearly $700,000 in other contributions, resulting in a $6.50 return for every $1 of FFIP funding. FFIP is widely regarded as a model habitat restoration or enhancement program, and this morning we're asking for your approval to fund this cycle's requests. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Brooke.
I would like to move for approval of the projects for the Future Fisheries program.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Walsh seconded. Are there any questions or comments before I go out? Oh,
I do have some questions.
go ahead.
And comments on this. First of all, the committee that does this, the volunteer committee, I'd like to thank them for all their work on this. This seems like a lot of work, and Clint Peck is the chair and runs that very well. It seems to me, Mr. Strainer, that we used to, when we got these, that they told who was involved in the match money, and I'm not seeing that anymore. And I'm curious because some of these are some pretty big projects, and Fish, Wildlife, and Parks money is a small amount. So I was hoping that in the future we can get information on who are the match people on this. And then my second comment is I sent this out to a couple of the fishermen I know that fish in the Blackfoot, the Clearwater, and the Clark's Fork. And most of them are saying this is such a great thing, that we're trying to enhance some of this bull trout habitat. But for example, the one on the Clearwater, we still have a catch and release for pike. And we're trying to improve the bull trout, but we have a catch and release for pike. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to the anglers out there. And so I just want to pass that comment on to you. It really doesn't have anything to do with the future fisheries, but it's a little bit concerning to them that the pike are aggressively coming into all those stem rivers that are coming into there. And every year it's getting worse and worse. So that's just the comment that I heard.
Okay. Yeah, that is not on our agenda, but thank you for the passing that along. Are there any questions or comments to do with the agenda item?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Walsh.
Mr. Strainer, I just had one other request, and that is, in the past, we've also seen the projects that didn't get funded. And I'm just interested to keep an eye on, were there good projects that we just didn't have the funding to support or not?
Madam Chair, Vice Chair Walsh. So all 10 projects that we received were funded this year.
Okay.
Some not fully funded to the amount requested, but all 10 projects were funded.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair, if I may, I'd like to respond to Commissioner Brooks. So the first part, your first comment about, we do have the list of all the matching funds available. We condensed down these documents just for brevity for this exercise, but we can certainly pass along more detailed matching fund dollar amounts to you. So we'll get that to you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments?
Madam Chair, one other comment. As we do that, Mr. Strainer, I think it's really important to look at the overhead charges that we're incurring with the other organizations when we make these grants. So that might just be another column on your spreadsheet.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair. Noted, we will provide that data as well. We have that information available, so.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Who am I talking? Who is talking?
Burrows.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Burrows.
So is the difference between the total request and match contributions to the total project cost, is that the administrative fee, or what is that difference in the numbers?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Burrows, that difference, the match amount is the outside funding dollar amount. So that's the $6.50 for every $1 of FFIP funding.
Understand, but when you look at it, like if you look at project 001, the Blacktail, a total project cost of $1.12363 million. And I see more money, it looks like, and maybe I'm reading something wrong, but it looks like I would assume you take the match contributions plus the panel recommendation for the costs associated with the project, and that is more than the total project cost, or am I reading something wrong?
They got flipped.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Burrows, so there's I mentioned in the intro, so there's $700,000 in other contributions. And so that's some of those matches are at the discretion of the applicant. And so those are also built in, but in that particular instance, only 5% of the total project cost is what we're funding through FFIP.
Okay, maybe I'm not phrasing my question right. And maybe I'm just confused, but when you look at it, it looks to me like total funds associated with the project are the match contributions is $1.2 million towards the project, right?
Correct.
Then the panel recommended $30,000. Is that in addition to the match contributions?
No, so Chair Robinson, Commissioner Burrows. So in this case, the panel recommends only funding 30,000 of the 60,000 requested by the applicant. Does that make sense?
It does. I guess I'm just seeing a total project cost of $1.12 million. It looks like there's funds at $1.23 million. It looks like there's more funding than what the project costs.
So Chair Robinson, Commissioner Burrows, I think what we'll need to do here in this case is I can pull up the line items just to make sure we're both on the same page, and I can get that information for that particular request for approval to you after the fact.
Okay. It just looks like there's a math error on number one, maybe, because the rest of them seem like they match up the dollar amounts to get to the total. In 001, it doesn't look like they do.
So just for future reference, I guess, if you guys have questions that are that detailed on, because we get the information a long time ago, get the questions maybe to the presenter so they can be prepared to answer detailed questions. Are there any other questions? Commissioner Burrows, is it a big enough, I guess, question that before we go out for, I'll go out for comments, but do you need that answer before we go for a vote?
I don't think so. It just looks like $100,000 discrepancy on project 001 somewhere. And maybe it's just an administrative error, but no, I'm fine with the projects.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner
Just a point of order. I just, Commissioner Brooks' motion wasn't as specific as the recommended motion regarding like the winter 2025 funding cycle. I just want to make sure that we're clear and that we're okay with the motion as it stands.
I would amend my original motion to include the winter funding.
Okay. Commissioner Walsh, is that
Yes.
okay, acceptable? Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Siebel. All right. So if everyone who would like to comment, if you could please raise your hands too so I can see. Okay, perfect. If there is no other questions, then I'll ask again before we go to a vote if anyone has further questions. Jeff Lucas, if you would mind, please. And just a reminder, 2-minute time limit on comments.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Great. Madam Chair, members of the commission, my name is Jeff Lucas, spelled Lukas. I represent Trout Unlimited. Well, good morning. It's great to see you all again. And I'd like to start by saying TU strongly urges the commission to approve the Future Fisheries Citizen Review Panel and funding recommendations for the winter 2025 cycle as presented. A couple months ago, when I started at TU, I started begging the project managers to let me tour some of the sites that they work on. And it was really great to see the phases of work, meet the local contractors that we hired and see the actual progress being made on the ground. So it's something I hope you all get to see, the stuff that you're voting on as commissioners on the ground sometime. And as TU stated in Appropriations Subcommittee a couple weeks ago, these projects truly are a win-win-win. They're a win for ag production. They're a win for local economies because we hire local labor, we source our materials locally, and we hire local contractors for engineering and design help. And then the fish ultimately win. So it truly is a win-win-win. I'd also like to note, as was stated by Mr. Strainer, that the match for these projects in this round is over 6-1, which is just really impressive. So to wrap it up, I'd just like to say that the future fisheries funding and the projects that they help truly are a win-win-win, and we're getting a lot of bang for our buck. So with that, TU urges Commission to approve this round of funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bias, if you would like to go, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioners, good morning. My name is Mike Bias, B-I-A-S. I'm Executive Director of the Fishing Outfitters Association of Montana. And greetings from Helena. I've been in Helena since the start of the legislative session, and it's different. But I want to stand in support and urge your approval of the Future Fisheries Improvement Program projects for the winter 2025 funding cycle. In my previous work, I was executive director of the Big Old River Foundation, and I've gotten several projects through the Future Fisheries funding. Back in the days when I was doing it, it certainly wasn't at $500,000. So this program is just tremendous. And we urge that you guys support these projects as well. And I thank you for your time this morning, and hopefully you're all staying warm. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the regional offices, and I don't know if you have the ability to raise your hand in the regional offices, if there's someone, just so I can see also, but I'll just wait a couple seconds here to see if there's anybody in the regional offices. Yeah, doesn't look like it. One more chance for commissioners if you have any questions. Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. All right, next we will move to legal. Just a heads up, I guess, for each one of these petitions, the petitioner will have 10 minutes to present their petition also. So Jeff, if you wouldn't mind starting with our first petition, please.
Will do. Madam Chair, Commissioners, the first of these two rulemaking petition items on the agenda concerns a petition that's been submitted requesting that the Commission initiate a Montana Administrative Procedure Act rulemaking process to consider a rule prohibiting motorized watercraft operations on the Bull River from its headwaters to its confluence with the Clark Fork River in Sanders County. As I think probably almost all of you recall, as you've seen these before in various forms, the Montana Administrative Procedure Act is what both the Commission and we as the department and all of the other executive branch agencies and boards and commissions use as a framework for adopting administrative rules. There's a provision in MAPA that allows a citizen or a legislator to petition an agency or board to consider the adoption, amendment, or repeal of an administrative rule. The current one, the decision that you make either today to deny the petition or to initiate the rulemaking proceeding, just dictates how things go forward. A decision to deny it would allow someone to seek some form of judicial review. The decision to simply initiate the rulemaking process, however, will just task us as staff with putting that together, running a rule notice in the Montana Administrative Register through the Secretary of State's office, and then conducting that public hearing and public comment process inside the MAPA framework, and then bringing that all back to you for as the commission for your consideration as to whether you want to adopt a rule, not adopt the rule, or adopt some variation on the initial rule based on the public comment received in the MAPA process. In terms of this particular request and the following one, the commission has been given authority by the legislature to adopt and enforce rules governing recreational use of public rivers and streams. As outlined in the proposal information sheet, the standard there is that they must be adopted in the interest of public health, safety, welfare, protection of public resources and property. With that bigger picture backdrop in mind, at least in terms of this petition on the Bull River, as noted in the P&I sheet, the commission has within the last 5 years received similar petitions to restrict motorized watercraft use on both the Shields River and the Boulder River, and both of those were advanced by the commission into the MAPA rulemaking process. And then at the conclusion of those processes, the commission did take action to adopt an actual MAPA regulation. As I indicated in the P&I sheet, there would anticipate there's advocacy both in favor of and in opposition to the regulation. As far as staff perspective, from an enforcement or resource standpoint, Captain Kilbreath is available. We've only at this point gathered relatively limited input from enforcement and resources on this, just in light of how kind of straightforward the request is. And all of that information would also be pulled in during any subsequent MAPA process. So you have the two alternatives as outlined in the P&I sheet. Either just approve the petition and set us forward as staff to get the MAPA rulemaking process going, or to deny the petition, and that would leave the status quo in place.
Okay. So don't be afraid to ask questions. There's always a lot of questions when we have these petitions before us. And this is not really to approve or deny the actual rule. It's just to move it forward in the rulemaking process if we choose to do so. So is there a presenter here, I guess, for this first one, for the motorized watercraft on the Bull River?
Madam Chair, I have one question.
Okay, go ahead.
Jeff, under that statutory authority under 87-1303 for adopting and enforcing rules, is the mechanism for adopting rules under that statute, is that the MAPA process, or are those two different? Is there the MAPA in response to a petition, or authority under that statute for making and adopting rules?
Yeah, Madam Chair, Commissioner Burrows, that is the underlying authority for the commission's adoption of any of its water-based rec rules, whether they're ones that you bring forward yourself as a commission and adopt through MAPA, or ones that you may be asked to adopt through MAPA through a citizen or legislator petition.
Okay, so if we wanted to take a more holistic approach to motorized use on water bodies, it would still be a proposal through the MAPA process, even if that was initiated by the commission.
Yes, Madam Chair, Commissioner Gross, correct. And we'll kind of allude to that a little bit in the follow-on petition here, because the commission has utilized that that authority with respect to, for example, some of the no wake zones and things like that in the Western District.
Thank you.
Commissioner Siebel, you have a question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jeff, just a follow-on question to that. With regards, and again, today we're only approving the start of the process and not the rule itself, and or any restrictions. Is it possible in the rulemaking process? I was involved with Captain Kilbreth in the Boulder River working group we put together, which I understand is very tedious, and I think this is, as an approach, it seemed practical at the time, but as we look at more and more of these types of petitions, I think there's a lot of us, or myself, that would support more of a prescriptive type approach to these. But that being said, with regards to moving this petition forward, going through the process, is it possible that the department would come back, or through the rulemaking process would come back with different recommendations for us, or is it only going to be what the petitioners asked for, and then we're going to be voting yes or no on that based on public comment? You said we could change it at the time, but I was just curious if the department has any latitude during the process, working with the petitioners and maybe with stakeholders to change, or maybe make recommendations as to what limitations or more specific limitations on water bodies. So I'm curious if that's possible during this process.
Madam Chair, Mr. Siebel, absolutely. I mean, I think that's what the MAPA process itself is intended to bring forward, is the public comment and input on whatever proposed rule goes forward. So I think an example in this case, which may, at the end of the day be, how things play out, might be if the rule notice proposal goes forward as a ban on all motorized watercraft, that is not to say that by virtue of whatever public comment comes back in, the commission couldn't, based on that public comment, at the end of the process, adopt a rule that simply imposes a horsepower limitation and not an outright ban on, or a ban only in certain reaches of the river, things like that. Would bring this back to you at the end of that MAPA process, along with all the public comment and department staff perspective on things, so that, and give you whatever, decision packages might align best, or a range of potential decision packages that could align best with being responsive to that public comment and adapting to that.
Perfect. Thank you.
So I guess I have a question. If there is a pretty large shift in what came to us and then what we would like to do because of public comment, can that be approved at that time, or do we have to go back out again in the process for more comments? Or
Yeah, Madam Chair, great question. The short answer is there could. I mean, if there is enough of a shift in what was put before the public in the form of the notice of proposed adoption of rule, and where, based on the public comment, the commission might decide it wanted to land, you could have a shift that's far enough, and it's less than a bright line, but far enough along where we would probably recommend rerunning where the commission is inclined to go as a proposed rule again through the MAPA process to get that second round of public comment on it, if it's a significant enough deviation from what we started out with. Not a bright line, but that line is out there.
okay, all right. Any further questions before I have the presenter present? Okay.
Madam Chair.
Oh, Commissioner Lane, go ahead.
Just had what is the time frame on this? As far as, I mean, if we move this forward and then it's assuming everything goes good after public comment, at what point would we then see this come back up again?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Lane, we would probably try to get this tracked out as quickly as we could with the Secretary of State. But there's generating the notice, getting it published. It's generally a 30 to even when we try and do them pretty quick, you're looking at a month to 40 some days out for that public hearing component. Then there's a window behind that to gather up and compile the public comments and then bring them back to you. So we're looking, we're probably in a June meeting would be our best target to bring you a hard package back, just because, and a lot of that in our unique case here with the commission is just because of your meeting cycle. But I think that's just probably the practical reality here too, by the time we get that all pulled back together.
Any other questions? I don't see anybody with their hands raised who is going to actually be the presenter for this. Do we have somebody here to present?
Madam Chair, I've not been contacted by anybody who's there to present. Well, I
Oh,
see Mr. Overman just-
okay, I have one person, okay. And so, Mr. Overman, if you could, you just muted yourself. Okay, are you on there?
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
Madam Chair.
Are you the only presenter for this then?
I believe so.
Okay, all right, go ahead, please.
I'm Paul Overman. I want to thank the Montana Fish and Wildlife Commission for putting our petition on your agenda. We appreciate that. As a landowner of properties up the Bull River Valley, one parcel is very special to us. It's well over 100 acres. The property is in a conservation easement, has roughly a half mile of Bull River zigzagging through it. Our river bottom is very rocky, but there is not a lot of rock in the stream banks. In fact, it's mostly loam soil. Therefore, the stream banks are very fragile and erosion is already a problem. I've been playing on the Bull River since I was a boy, and now my kids, my grandkids, we all spend a lot of time by or in the river. Traditionally, over the years, we've seen a lot of people go through our property on the river in kayaks, canoes, floats, fishermen and fishing boats, even some with low horsepower motors. Never felt a threat to our stream banks or the safety of our family. Even have some friends in their 80s that enjoy floating the river. It's been a quiet, peaceful, safe river for years. On June 2nd, 2024, 5 jet boats flew up the river, sending 2-foot wakes over some of my banks. In some ways on my banks, it didn't just erode, it literally came off in large chunks when these boats went through. Spring runoff runs one way and does cause erosion, but jet boats and high speed boats going upstream, then back downstream brings erosion to a whole new level. So I asked for this rulemaking petition because I am concerned that if allowed, we will have more and more high-speed boats, jet boats, etc., coming up the river. That will put our stream banks at high risk, our habitat at high risk, natural resources, fisheries, waterfowl, all at high risk. And another big concern is the safety of the people that have traditionally enjoyed the river. Now to have to worry about a high-speed boat coming up the narrow, windy river, I can just imagine the 80-year-old couple I know coming around a corner, and here comes a boat doing 30 miles an hour around it. I think we're going to end up having a disaster. And I've been a first responder and fire chief here in Heron, and have dealt with all kinds of situations for over 30 years. And so I know what potentially could happen on that river. So that's why I've requested the Montana Fish and Wildlife Commission to restrict high-powered water vessels from the headwaters of the Bull River to its confluence with the Bull River Bay at the Clark Fort. Thank you.
Thank you. And there may be some questions for you from the commission, and I'll let you know. Okay, first of all, before we go out for comments, I do have another question. So we've had these before, and from what I remember, erosion is not really under our purview of what our decisions are not necessarily to eliminate erosion, but the safety factor, I guess, is one that if that falls within what our responsibilities are. And unless the erosion is causing damage to the fisheries, am I correct? Do I remember that correctly?
Madam Chair, yes, you do. That's safety, and to the extent the stream erosion or stream bank erosion is a piece of the equation. It would be, tied into. It would need to be tied into the resource and from a habitat perspective and that sort of thing. But not to say that it can't be, but that would be the angle. You're correct.
Okay. Any other questions before I go out for comments? Commissioner Lane.
I just have a quick question for Mr. Overman. How wide is this river? I'm not familiar with it. So approximately how wide is this river?
Am I on?
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
Yes, it's approximately 16 to 30 feet wide.
Okay. Pretty narrow. All right. Thank you.
Yep. Commissioner Brooke, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Overman, is the watercraft coming from the reservoir or are they coming from a fishing access site? How are they getting up the river?
They are coming in into Bull River Bay, which there is a boat launch there right by the Clark Fort River.
So the bay, it has a lot of watercraft on the bay. Is it big enough for them to recreate there?
From the bay, you go right out to the Clark Fort River, and then we're on the reservoir between the Noxon Dam and the Cabinet Gorge Dam. So it's a huge reservoir with plenty of places to play.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions before we go out for comment?
Madam Chair, there's no motion on the table.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Thank you. Somebody like to make a motion?
Madam Chair.
Oh, go ahead, Commissioner Brooke.
Based on the petition's contents and the information presented to the commission, I move that the Fish and Wildlife Commission initiate administrative rulemaking on the petition to adopt a motorized watercraft restriction on the Bull River from its headwaters to its confluence with the Clark Fork River.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Lane, second. Thank you, Commissioner Siebel. Okay, now that we have a motion, any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna start with the people that are online, and then I guess if the regional offices have anybody, if you could possibly raise your hand so I know somebody's there, or turn your camera on so I can see that somebody needs to speak. So 2-minute time limit, and I will start with Colleen Hines, please. You're muted. If you could unmute, please. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, good morning, commissioners, and thank you for this opportunity. I live in Heron, Montana, which is just a ways down off the Clark Fork. I've lived here for 50 years, and I just want to say one of my fondest memories was floating the Bull River in a raft with my father many years ago, and I would hope that I could do that with my grandkids too in a safe manner without having to worry about, there's trees down, it's a wild river, and I don't want to have to worry about a boat coming around the corner. I'm not that quick. So thank you for initiating or voting on the rulemaking process. Thank you.
Okay, Frank from the Montana Wildlife Federation, if you would like to go next, please. And you are, okay, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Chair Robinson. On behalf of the Montana Wildlife Federation, we encourage the commission to support Alternative A. I'd like to thank Commissioner Brook and Commissioner Lane for their motion and second. Our concern, like the petitioner, Mr. Overman, is personal safety, the potential damage to nests of some species such as loons. Of course, bull trout are a threatened species. Bull River is an important habitat for that threatened species. We'd encourage and would appreciate any kind of information as if this moves forward to come from the department on those matters. And again, just thank you for your public service. And we certainly encourage citizens and folks who enjoy recreating to take their responsibility as citizens seriously, to participate in public processes like this. And so we support Alternative A. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, Mr. All right, yourself again. Oh,
Okay.
You're good. You're good.
Great. Madam Chair, members of the commission, this is Jeff Lucas again, spelled Lukas. I'm with Trout Unlimited. I'd just simply like to me too the petitioner's statement and support all the local folks that took the time to write in and support the petition. And it's great to see so many people stand up for one of their favorite places. I too spend a lot of time on the Bull River every year, and I agree that it's not an appropriate place for high-speed motorized usage. So TU urges the commission to start the MAPA process and get this petition moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Peters, please.
Hi, good morning. My name is Jake Peters. I'm a property owner on the Bull River. And as Paul was saying, the banks are made up of sandy loam and silt, and they're prone to erosion. If you can envision a very slow meandering river like a snake, that is typically about 20 miles of this river. And it's very slow moving water, very clear. And the bank grass is extremely high during I'd say early spring through late summer. And what that the problem I see is a mini jet boat can get to the top speed of 50 miles an hour. And those recreationists that use these jet boats are very, they like to test the limits of their vessels. And if you can imagine a high bank with that's shaped like a snake and these boats, veering around the corners, it is only prone to a bad situation, like Paul mentioned. But other than that, the spawning fish, and you got the cutthroat in early spring, bull trout September through October, and brown trout through November. So that spans the whole boating season, if you will. And with jet boats, putting out the wakes that they do, I think it would be wreak havoc on the spawning fish. So I recommend to adopt and advance this ruling. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see any other hands raised that would like to comment on this. Okay. All right, so if everybody could raise their hands now so I can see how many commenters there are. Okay, Mr. Gilbert, please. You are muted. Still muted.
Can you hear me now?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the commission. Oh, excuse me. Brad's up. We'll pause.
Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen of the commission, thank you for allowing me to comment on this proposal. I would like to focus my concerns on the safety of allowing motorized watercraft on the Bull River. The Bull River is frequently used by people on kayaks, canoes, inner tubes, and rafts. From the beginning of spring runoff until temperatures and water levels drop in the fall, there are floaters on this river nearly every day. I am one of these people who enjoy a day of floating on this river. I would argue that due to the narrow nature, limited line of sight on this river, and limited maneuverability of vessels floating downstream, the risk of collision is very high if motorized traffic is allowed to travel above the Bull River Delta. While there are rules of navigation that govern collision avoidance on inland waterways and western rivers, this issue really boils down to the width of this river. There's not enough room for a motorized vessel traveling at even modest speeds to avoid collision with a person on an inner tube, let alone a group of them. We're very fortunate to live in a place where we can get our fix for speed and adrenaline in the morning, and in the afternoon, float a river that gives you the feeling that you were the first person to discover it. There are plenty of places to enjoy motorized watercraft. I don't believe this river should be one of them. As someone who enjoys all aspects of the outdoors, both motorized and non-motorized, I respectfully request that you move forward with this proposal and protect this very special place. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Okay, Tom McDowell, if you'd like to go, please. Okay, you are muted currently. Okay, go ahead.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair, Directors, and Commissioners. I was asked to comment on this because the proposal is a really good proposal in terms of safety, and it's also a good proposal for back to the fish. My family's been involved with the Bull River since 1927 or something like that. I started using it when I was 5 in 1965. My aunt ran the Bull River Watershed Council for quite a while until she passed, and she gave me some of those duties to look after. Anyway, I support the proposal completely, except for one thing. I would like to see that it not ban all watercraft that have some sort of propulsion. I'd like to see a limit on it because about mile 7, the water runs real still. There's a nice place to put in up there. There's a lodge up there. And with a trolling motor or a restricted engine, say 4 or 5 horsepower, older folks can put it in one place and they can motor on up the river quietly, not creating any disturbance with the banks, and then be able to float back down to the place they put in, which would also lower traffic on the highway. Because when large groups go, there's got to be a pull-out vehicle and they float down the river. And, like I said, I started floating the river when I was 6 years old in 66. And we've had many times where we've allowed people to put in our property and float down. And sometimes the groups are 20 or 30, huge groups. And same thing with Paul's, who's my neighbor up the road away. But to be able to restrict it and take away that right to be able for some people that are not physically able to be able to row up the river from the put out, I find would be a little too restrictive. So I'd like that consideration from you.
All right. Thank you. Your time is up. I appreciate your comments. I have Mr. Hernandez, if you would like to go, please. Okay, go ahead. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
I barely, but yes, go ahead.
My name is Cesar Hernandez. I live in Heron, Montana. I'm representing the Cabinet Resource Group. Cabinet Resource Group is a conservation organization of 160 members working in Lincoln and Sanders County. About a dozen years ago, Cabinet Resource Group and about 28 other groups worked with Avista Utilities to collaboratively relicense the Noxon Rapids and Cabinet Gorge dams. Part of the collaboration saw Avista pledge $42 million over 40 years for restoration and rehabilitation on area rivers and streams and reservoir shorelines for fisheries, wildlife habitat, and community enhancement from the impacts of their dams. The Bull River is the largest of 2 area rivers in the lower Clark Fork Basin designated as critical bull trout habitat. It's about 18 miles long as the crow flies, but a bit longer because of its meanders. It is a shallow river over its first 7 miles and deeper where it passes through glacial moraine. It's a narrow river, not more than 28 feet wide in some places, and averages about 18 feet. In my family's 52 years use of the river, it has never been invaded by jet skis or jet boats that I have seen or heard of. It is a quiet, beautiful little river that offers ample opportunity for fishing, rafting, kayaking, and floating. It deserves to stay that way and be protected. CRG supports the MAPA in this petition. And I would like to address one thing when you mentioned that erosion is not a prerogative for consideration. There are bull trout redds in the Bull River, and those redds are usually located in the lower reaches where you have shallow water.
I'm sorry, but your time is up, but thank you. And I'm going to go to Region 1 next, but I want to make sure that everyone who has been commenting on this, that if the motion does pass and we go to the MAPA process, to make sure that all of your comments that you have been given today are also commented during that process so that we can look at all of the comments when making the decision. So I just want to remind you, how many, Region 1, how many commenters do you have?
Madam Chair, members of the commission, we have one person from the public here today to comment.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead.
Yeah, Madam Chair and members of the commission, my name is David Wayne Hurst. I go by Wayne, and I've lived on the Bull River for 38 years, and I worked in Libby and commuted. In the early 90s, I bought a 14-foot boat, mainly for Bull Lake, and put a 9-horse motor on it. I tried that in the river. 9-horse motor is too big for the Bull River. Paul Overman, the petitioner, brought these other boats to my attention. I haven't seen them yet, but to say no, and my point is, I think it's the petition as written was a little bit, banning all motors was a little bit too much because there's a lot of fishermen that use electric motors that go by. And I have, because the 9-horse was too big, I bought a little 8-foot boat and put a 1.5-horse motor on it. That really doesn't go fast enough to bother anything. So I am recommending that the petition is adjusted to limit motors on the Bull River. And my experience is you sure don't want to have them over 5 horsepower. And I don't know if you can go 3 or less. I don't really know, but under 5 horsepower would be what I would recommend. And the Bull River, really, where I live, halfway down, about a mile up from where the East Fork Bull River comes in, there just isn't that much use of it. And so it's mostly floaters and fishermen with electric motors. And it's not very busy, but that's my input, to not ban all motors, just to limit their size. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to comment on that.
All right. Thank you for your comments. And again, just a reminder, make sure you comment during the process if this moves forward. Are there any other, it doesn't look like we have any other regions that have commenters. Okay. Commissioners, any comments or questions before we go to a vote on the motion? Commissioner Siebel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just, I'm going to support the motion to move this petition forward. It's properly prepared. out of respect for the MAPPA process and out of respect for the petitioners, Mr. Overman and all the people that signed it, I appreciate the process. But I do want to point out, in no way does that mean that I'm going to support a total ban. And I would recommend, consider alternatives. As I mentioned before, Captain Kilbreth and I had worked with the citizen group on the Boulder River petition to look at alternatives and get all the stakeholders at the table. That's a very tedious process. So I'd encourage us during the MAPPA process to consider that and consider alternatives to an all-out ban, whether it be size restrictions, speed restrictions, seasonal, or even restrictions on stretches of that river. Because I am a multi-use guy, so I encourage that to happen. I also encourage as you have pointed out, Madam Chair, everybody that's interested in this on either side and has interest in this to make sure that they comment during the process. And with that, I just wanted to mention that, and also that I will be supporting the motion to move this petition forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Walsh.
Chair Robinson, I just have a quick question for Commissioner Siebel, and that is, we see these every year, these kinds of petition requests, and I know it was a tedious process getting through the MAPPA process on the Boulder River, multiple meetings, and it seemed like many months. Do you think, Commissioner Siebel, that could work as a template to facilitate a faster process on these other rivers that we're getting requests from?
Commissioner Walsh, Madam Chair. Yeah, thank you for the question. And I would love to get Captain Kilbreth's opinion on this as well, but it did. And we had several meetings and I believe several iterations of the process, including coming back and going out for public comment multiple times. It was tedious. And I guess I think it could be a template, but I think I've said this in past meetings regarding these types of petitions, that I would like to see the department, and whether this is a commission action that we take through the MAPPA or through the MAPPA process, and I'd love to get Jeff's opinion on this, whether it's commission action or if it has to be legislated, to see a more prescriptive process where the department could go out and identify, potentially identify water bodies and try to do a more prescriptive approach. If somebody comes with a concern about safety, that we kind of we can look at a river and consider it and maybe apply some rules prescriptively instead of going through the process. But again, so I think it could be a template, but I'm also concerned about the time, both from the public and from the department, that it would take to do that.
So Jeff,
Captain Kilbreth. Sorry, Madam Chair.
let's start with Jeff, just because I want to know what is our area that we can actually do things.
Yeah, Madam Chair, yes. I think at least from, again, I've been here a year now, and I got to candidly tell you, I picked up both of these petitions, kind of looking back at how they've gone in the past, thinking, boy, maybe I can make this work better. And now here I am several months later going, I don't really think I can make this work much better, other than the core manner in which we've been approaching these. And I don't know if it's super responsive to Commissioner Walsh's question or not, other than by core manner, meaning that we really do, at least in the here and now, need to stay in that MAPPA box when we want to have the commission do this. Because I think, and I'd certainly, you folks as commissioners, and I know some of the other staff folks, including Captain Kilbreth, and I think we should probably get his perspective on things too, has lived that they aren't, and yeah, they're tedious, but not in the bad sense of trying to get to a really good end state of getting as much public comment as possible. But I guess my point is when I say in the box about MAPPA, is that really is the purpose of the Montana Administrative Procedure Act when it comes to notice and comment rulemaking, is that we really do have a framework for doing that. We have a public hearing process for doing that, and we'll have the ability to bring all of that back to the commission to make a decision on it. So I think that the MAPPA process itself is workable in the absence, and perhaps even more workable in the absence of a task force or working group type structure that gets layered on top of it. But that being said, I'm not sure there's a great answer to the question of how best to take a more holistic approach to this. I think, broadly speaking, that does fall within the scope of the commission's authority, as you do have, regulations that cover on the district level, things like that, but don't have a great answer for how to get that, corralled up and brought back to the commission on some sort of regular basis.
Phil, if you wouldn't mind speaking to it, please.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. I think sort of defer to what Jeff said in terms of when we get a petition, that's what the MAPA process is there for, so people can petition to have the rules changed. I definitely would agree that that idea of a more holistic approach to making boating regulations as a whole would be the ideal best case scenario, particularly on the front end of making regulation changes. I think the issue comes is just the resources to do that, the time, the staff, the resources. It's, as we've learned in the past, it's a lot of work to do one body of water, and to do a larger scale version of that would be worthwhile. I just don't know that we have the resources for that.
Commissioner Siebel, do you have any follow-up or?
No, Madam Chair, I guess, my concern has always been is the amount of time it took just specifically for the Boulder River. I think we came up with a really good product. I think, honestly, nobody was fully happy in the end, and that seems to be the definition of a good deal for everybody. I think we got a really good product at the end of that, and it was a great process. And, but again, I guess if we do that for every petition, every valid petition we get, I guess I'm just concerned again about resources and time.
Right. I know this question has been asked over and over and over again, but it seems like that this is our process, and I don't think I don't know if it takes legislative change to change how we go through this, but okay. Any other questions? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, we'll move on to the next petition, please.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, this next agenda item is at least structurally, or from a topic standpoint, the same as the prior agenda item we just considered. This is your consideration of a citizen petition under the Montana Administrative Procedure Act that is requesting that the commission take action to adopt or amend certain regulations relating to the operation of wake surf or wakeboarding boats on Swan Lake. All of the same background framework apply here. I think, and as I noted in the proposal information sheet, and again, as several of you have actually, experienced, the commission has within the past 2 or 3 years received similar petitions to restrict this particular type of motorized watercraft activity on both Lake 5 and Half Moon Slough over in western Montana. Those kind of back to Commissioner Siebel's comment a moment ago. I think the initial response to those was to form working groups or task the department with forming advisory or working group structures in response to those petitions. Then those groups developed a product to bring back to the commission for its review in terms of actually getting to this point we're at today, i.e. making a vote to either initiate a MAPA rulemaking process or not. And after considering those proposals, the commission did not initiate MAPA rulemaking processes for either of those water bodies. As I indicated in the proposal information sheet, and this is a kind of a good contrast from the Bull River petition that the commission just considered, both in terms of how compact and linear the Bull River request is compared to what this one is. And it's also a great example of how, good folks who want to at least, make an ask of the commission to consider rule changes, how difficult that can be to really get that framed in a way where it's workable for you as a commission to get to that decision point. as indicated in the P&I sheet, the folks that are interested in doing this, we're relying principally on the department's boating laws publication and identifying things in that department publication that they would like to have the commission consider changing or altering. And as it turns out, in terms of the petition itself, a large number, if not nearly all of them, related to things that are in our department publication that are actually statutory, things that the legislature has done, and really not things that the commission has done through its own rulemaking authority, or even the department through its rulemaking authority. So I have been in communication with the folks, the petitioners in this case, and they've been great to work with, and they understand kind of where we've been coming from the department's perspective. And I think at least where things sit right now, the plan is for myself, Captain Kilbreath, and some of the Region 1 folks hopefully sit down with them in a meeting and help them through a process of trying to get a petition that is as compact as it can be with respect to what the request is of the commission. That being said, at least with the petition as it sits today, it's the department's recommendation that it be denied, just on the grounds that it's really some of the asks that are made in there are ones that relate to statutes that neither we as the department or you as the commission can alter, and just not enough clarity there in terms of what the proposed regulation might look like. So I just wanted to give you that full background. I'm not sure if the petitioners are here today. They may still have something to say, and certainly are entitled to with respect to the subject matter of their petition. But in this particular case, the department's recommendation is to deny it at this stage, with the understanding that, again, the plan is to get with these folks and be able to bring one back to you that's a much cleaner kind of decision package.
Okay. Is there anyone online that would like to speak to? Is there a petitioner online, I guess?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Brooke.
do we need a motion first?
No, this is a presenter. This is not for public. I'm just asking if any of the presenters before we have a motion. Hold on, I think I got a text from Eric. Hold on.
Madam Chair, sorry, that message is unrelated. I don't have any hands raised, and I don't know of a presenter that's online.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, now I will take a motion. There doesn't seem that there's any petitioners online to present to us.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Burke, please.
I move, based on the petition's contents and the information presented to the commission, I move that the Fish and Wildlife Commission deny the rulemaking petition.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Siebel second it. Okay, thank you. Any other questions before I go out to see if there's any public comments? Okay, I do not see any hands raised, but I'll give you a couple seconds if there are any hands raised. And I do not see anybody in regional office at this time. Okay. So all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, thank you, everyone. And then we'll move on to land and water. Renewal of Vandalia Wildlife Management Area.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Bill Schenk here for the Land and Water Unit at FWP. Have one simple item for your consideration this morning. That is the renewal of a management agreement for the Vandalia Wildlife Management Area. This agreement is with the Bureau of Reclamation, who owns the land in question. It is 387 acres of land associated with the Milk River Irrigation Project, and specifically the Glasgow Irrigation District. The department has managed this as a wildlife management area under a MOA for 30 years with BOR. manage it for public access, recreation, hunting, same purpose as our other wildlife management areas. The agreement expired. The proposal here is to enter a new management agreement for 20 years. There's no cost associated with it. It would, my understanding is it would continue things as they are, continue the access and habitat benefits that have been enjoyed by the public for the last 30 years. If you have any questions specific to that management, I know Region 6 staff are online today and they might be best suited to answer those questions.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from any of the commissioners on this agreement, the renewal?
Madam Chair, I move the Fish Wildlife Commission authorize FWP to enter into a 20-year management agreement with BOR for management of Vandalia Wildlife Management Area.
Yes, thank you. Okay, Commissioner Lane, second. Thank you. All right, is there anyone online who would like to comment to this motion? Is there anyone in the regional offices who would like to comment? Okay. Doesn't look like there's any commenters. One last chance for any commissioners if you have any questions. Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. We have nothing under the wildlife division, which is very unusual. And the only thing left on the agenda is public comment on items not on the agenda. So I will give you a couple seconds. Okay, we have one hand raised, and Frank from the Montana Wildlife Federation, just a reminder that items not on the agenda, please. Okay,
Thank
go
you,
ahead.
Chair Robinson. Montana Wildlife. I realized I didn't spell my name when I testified earlier. My last name is spelled Szollosi. I serve as the executive director of the Montana Wildlife Federation. Two things. One, we would like to praise Director Clark in her first 3 months in that leadership role. It is a difficult time. Our staff at the Capitol appreciates her presence, her personal presence, as well as that of her staff, including Mr. Kudjala and others who are devoting overtime, candidly, during this period, and they're representing the department with professionalism. We appreciate the constituency meeting that she hosts and her staff hosts to discuss matters concerning wildlife management, sporting matters, and landowners. And we look forward to continuing to engage, particularly with her agricultural background. Second item, and with your indulgence, Madam Chair, we are in receipt of a stop work order issued by the governor and DNRC Director Castor due to ongoing delays in federal reimbursements, temporary pause on federally funded projects, grants, subawards, contracts. That stop work order is effective February 21st, 2025. Our question is, has a similar stop work order been issued from FWP? Are there any concerns around PR or DJ dollars, LWCF, Federal Highway Trust dollars, fishing projects? I'll just approve the Future Fisheries program this morning. MWF would like to share our concern. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I think that question probably needs to go to the FWP office instead of the commission, but I would suggest that. But
Madam Chair, I'm happy to address.
Yep, go ahead.
So far, we have not experienced any funding freezes whatsoever. All of our funds, and the measure is if the porthole is shut down, and our staff has checked daily, and there has been no interruption of funds from our end. So I'm not sure what the funding freezes are, or those sources of those funds for DNRC. They have a much different funding source, but so far none of our funds have been frozen, and we don't anticipate that in the future.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any other hands raised for items not on the agenda. So with that, stay warm, everyone, and look forward to our next meeting. And meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.